So, you know, if we look at what our country is about is what? We the people, right? We hold the power. We loan it to our elected representatives. If they do a good job, we can loan it for another term. And if they forget who they work for, we take that power back and we loan it to somebody else.
Yes.
That's what it means. But here's the thing that I like to stress. You know, we wonder, why is it we work so hard to get the right people in, you know, for governor, for senator, for representative, you know, for all these things, and yet it seems like our country is still going down the wrong path. What is the problem? What is it? Yeah. Well, yeah, but you know what else is the problem? If we focus all of our energy and our attention on the executive branch, and that's important, and we focus on the legislative branch, and those are important offices, but if you ignore the judicial branch, you still lose. Why is that? Because one judge can overturn the other two. Now, we've seen some recent examples of that, and there are many of them, including here in Minnesota. But the more recent ones you may have heard of in the news is Proposition 8 in California, where the people there said, we think that the definition of marriage should be what it has been traditionally recognized to be. That's in the staunchly Calvinistic conservative state of California. That's what they wanted, the people there. Well, guess what? Even though they went through the whole amendment process and they wanted to add that to their constitution, one judge struck it down. One judge. Or how about in the state of Arizona, where the people there said, you know what, there's a federal law where you're supposed to be enforcing the borders, but you're just not doing it. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to have a state statute that mirrors your federal statute, and then we're going to make you do it, and we're going to do it. One judge says, no, you're not. And that's it. So what branch of government is really the most powerful? And if they're the most powerful, who should we really be watching? You know, there's some copies of constitutions on one of these tables over here. How thick is that document? It's this thick. I've read it several times, and I bet a lot of you have too. Let me ask you this. Under Article 1, Section 8, it delineates the powers of Congress, right? Where in there is the authority of Congress to bail out private banks and stick the people with the bill? Where is that?
Nowhere.
Where in our Constitution is the authority of Congress or our government to bail out a private business, GM, while other automobile dealerships are going bankrupt, and then stick us with that bill? Where is that? Where in our Constitution, for that matter? And I'm for something for health care. I've had, you know, some recent health things which I'm good on now, but I mean, it's expensive. I think most of us are for that, but where is the constitutional authority to pass this kind of health care where we know we have all these backdoor deals, the Nebraska kickback, Cornhusker bidback, or whatever that was? Where is the authority for that, especially when you think of the fact that our Constitution is this thick, you know, under 50 pages, I think, with the amendments, and the health care bill is this thick. You know, I can tell you as an attorney who's practiced for over 16 and a half years, the devil really is in the details. And if we can't get our members of Congress to even read the bill, well, guess what? If it's too big to read, it's too big to pass. And we need to take it back. Well, what branch of government can do that? What branch of government can tell Congress, you know what? You don't have the constitutional authority to do those things. The judicial branch. And so that's the branch we need to be paying attention to. They're the wild card. Even Justice Bork wrote it in his book, The Tempting of America. He said they are the prize. The judges are the prize. Why? Because the Constitution is really what is controlling here, right? We all want limited government, and the judges tell us what it means. We're not getting limited government because we're not following our own Constitution, and we're not following it because the judicial branch isn't requiring it that we do so. In fact, even here in the state of Minnesota, very clearly our Constitution says, quote, judges shall be elected by the voters. That doesn't seem confusing, does it? Doesn't that seem pretty clear? Judges shall be elected by the voters. And yet I'm running for the Court of Appeals. We've had the Court of Appeals for several decades. We've been electing our judges for over 150 years, and if I win, I will be the first person in Minnesota's history ever put on the Court of Appeals by the voters of Minnesota. The first one.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to just explain why, because I have so many people asking, well, how can that be true? Well, this is how it's true. It's like Thomas Jefferson said, what concerns me most about the judiciary is it's entirely populated by lawyers. Well, It's a lawyer's trick, is really what it is. See, our Constitution in Minnesota has a provision in it that allows the governor to appoint somebody who does not complete their term in office. It's meant to be an emergency clause. The appropriate use would be like when Senator Paul Wellstone tragically passed away, you know, in that plane crash. I know we didn't agree with his politics, but he's, you know, still, he's a person, and he matters. And so that was a tragedy. But it gives the governor the authority to appoint his successor so the people of Minnesota do not go without representation in the U.S. Senate, right?
Right.
Oh, okay, I understand that. That's the appropriate use of it. Well, this is what judges do. They make a practice of never completing their last term. And so they will retire or resign before their term expires, triggering this power of the governor. The governor then appoints their successor, and here's the real kicker. If the successor is appointed within the last year of that judge's term, they get to skip over the first election. And then they run as the incumbent in the next election with all the incumbent's advantages. And guess what? In our state's history, incumbents never lose. That's what's been going on. And there's a few of us lawyers out here that have said, you know what? If I'm going to be in the practice of law, and if it's supposed to be about our country, and if I'm going to read the Constitution and say that I'm going to swear that oath, just like I did when I was in the Army, you know, I swear the oath to defend what? The Constitution from all enemies, both foreign and domestic. That's right. Well, our Constitution isn't being followed, and it needs to be. And this is the time for us to stand. Our forefathers pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. It is time for us to pledge something. So do what you can do. Tell the people that you know, because guess what? They won't know either. And this group is probably more informed than most Minnesotans. And yet I've been asked several times, well, how does that work? Well, now you know. So tell your friends. Facebook your friends. If you know how to do the Twitter thing, I don't, but some people do. Do that. You know, if you go where you're going to church, let those people know. They won't know either. They'll have no idea what's going on, and they won't even realize the importance of voting for these judicial offices, because we can win the other two branches. But if we ignore the judicial branch, you still lose. That's the point. So get back and do what you can do, and I thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you. Now I just have one thing why you should really be paying attention to those judges, because of what Thomas Jefferson said about lawyers. How many lawyer jokes are there? Anybody know? How many lawyer jokes? 3. The rest are true stories.